It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching, I hope you're doing okay. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Fight TV. Watch us on Fight TV. And don't forget to download the app for the Billy C Show. It's free. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the banner that says, download the Billy C app for free. And also, speaking of Fight TV, don't forget you can watch all the fights that you can't watch on the regular television by watching them on the front of our website, BillyCBoxing.com. We have a pretty cool embedded player for Fight TV, so catch all the fights, whether they're free or pay-per-view or replays, right on BillyCBoxing.com. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just visit BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Looking to get a signed copy, just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. It's right there on the, front page. Coming up in a little bit, Dax Khan will join us. Also, later in the week, Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazard stops by, as he usually does on Wednesday. And speaking of Wednesdays, a blast from the past this week, a request for Benny Briscoe. You've heard that name. They give the Benny Briscoe Awards in Philly. We'll tell you about Benny Briscoe come Wednesday when Alex Papali joins me to tell us all about Benny Briscoe. But first and foremost, this past weekend, Anthony Joshua, he beat Carlos Takam in 10 rounds. The fight was stopped. And all I could say is this, and nobody's a bigger fan than Anthony Joshua than me. No one's a bigger fan of AJ's than myself. I want AJ to help this sport of boxing. He's what we need, his attitude, his size, his strength, his boxing skill. But on Saturday night, he looked very ordinary to me. Whether it was because of the height difference. Now remember something. The Klitschko brothers, it took a while for them to become proficient in fighting smaller men. And then, for Vladimir's case anyway, it took him a little while to get used to fighting guys his own size again. Anthony Joshua, for the most part, has been fighting guys bigger than Carlos Takam. It looked awfully, what's the word I'm looking for? It was discouraging, I think, for Anthony Joshua. He just didn't look good. He looked like he was thinking too much in there. It almost looked like he just was lethargic. He didn't look like the Anthony Joshua that fought Vladimir Klitschko. He looked extremely ordinary to me. Let me just say this. You guys have heard me talk a lot about Deontay Wilder, negative things about Deontay Wilder, but let me tell you this. If the version of Anthony Joshua that we saw fight Carlos Takam on Saturday night, stepped in the ring with Deontay Wilder, I got news for you. Wilder comes out the victor. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island is my man, Sal Raki Senecola. Good morning, Sal. What you think of the fight?
Good morning, Bill. How are you today, buddy?
Okay. What did you think of the fight?
Well, I'm just going to compound on some of the issues that you just spoke about. And I agree. I think Anthony Joshua, he did look ordinary the other night. And all I kept saying to myself was, wow, if Deontay Wilder was in there, what would he do differently to really not expose, but to actually take advantage and outbox and outpunch the Anthony Joshua that I saw in the ring against Carlos Takam the other night. And it might as well have just been a sparring session for all I saw. But not even that one of an effective one. I mean, it was Anthony Joshua is a good, solid, basic, fundamental, sound fighter. Nothing exceptional that I saw the other night, except that he, I didn't like the habit he has now, pumping that left arm, dropping it low and then pumping it. As somebody quick, somebody that can time it, might take advantage of that left dropping like that.
I thought he looked ordinary, to say the least. Not to discredit Carlos Takam. He's obviously a tough guy. It almost seemed like he didn't want to continue with that cut. But nonetheless, Anthony Joshua scores officially a 10th round stoppage when the referee stopped the fight. Seemed kind of strange the way it was stopped. You ask yourself, was Takam going to win the fight? I suppose he has the knockout capability. He wasn't really being battered, although he did take some shots during the fight. It's going to be a question we all ask forever. But nonetheless, AJ improves to 20-0 with 20 knockouts. Carlos Takam drops to 35-4 with a draw, and 27 of his wins by knockout. Anthony Joshua broke his nose due to a headbutt, which seemed to bother him a little bit. At the end of the fight, Anthony Joshua was asked about the referee's stoppage. He says, "My job is the opponent. I don't have control over the ref's decision. Listen, I come to fight. I don't sit on the edge and make decisions. As you can see, it was a good fight until the referee stopped it. So I have the utmost respect for Takam. I have no interest in what's going on with the officials. That's not my job. My job is to worry about my opponent. I was watching him. I was trying to break him down round by round, and unfortunately the ref stopped it. I think the people wanted to see Takam unconscious on the floor." He says, I understand, and that's what I was trying to get to. 10 rounds, 11 rounds, 12 rounds. It was getting there, but like I said, I didn't have control over the ref's decision. What's your thoughts on the ref's stoppage, Sal?
Yeah, I thought it was premature. I thought he could have, every time I say to myself, well, why couldn't he just give him a good assessment, put him in a neutral corner, give him a standing 8 count, and see how he looks after that. I thought he stopped it too soon, Bill, in my opinion.
Well, one of the reasons they don't give a standing 8 count is because they don't do standing 8 counts anymore, Sal.
I know. But they should maybe think about bringing it back.
What they do, people found that fighters were misusing it. But what he could have done is he could have, if he felt that the ropes kept up Takam, he could have given him an 8 count then. Listen, the fight wasn't a blowout. It really wasn't at the stoppage. At the end of the fight, of course, Joseph Parker had some words to say. He said that he thought that Anthony Joshua was robotic against a challenger who had only 12 days' notice. He says, the more I watch this guy, the more I want to fight him. I've wanted to fight him for ages, but we're waiting for them to give us a good offer. The more I see him, the more I think, damn, if I fought this guy, I'd knock him out. He wasn't alone because Joseph Parker's trainer, Kevin Barry, said, it made me feel that we have a very, very good chance of dethroning this guy. I thought Joshua was acting like a robot. I thought he was slow, and I thought his lead patterns were very predictable. And once again, he showed that he definitely has stamina problems. He was blowing big time. He also feels that Team Joshua is going to give him Joseph Parker the fight, maybe even before Deontay Wilder. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Parker, it would be a good fight, and I don't know if they're going to do it before, because we know that Deontay Wilder camp has tried to, I guess, not get into a big fight right away with Anthony Joshua. But like I said, every time a fighter steps in a ring, no matter how it happens, he can expose himself on a positive or negative way. And you have the contenders or the people that have been trying to get in a ring with Anthony Joshua now seeing more vulnerability. And then whether it's conditioning, whether it's the as you said, maybe lethargic or just like I didn't like that left arm just kept pumping and dumping and dropping down, and he did look somewhat robotic. He does do some good sound things. He does the basic things, but very well. The uppercut was a good weapon for him. The left hook came by, and he's a big puncher, and that's an equalizer in any fight. But the other variables that we're going to have to watch is, if he does get some shots landed on him, how is he going to be able to weather the storm? If he does go into later rounds at a more of a fury pace, can he get the conditioning? Can he dig deep and pull it out? Like he showed us he could come back against the Klitschko fight. So I think you're going to have now some of these opponents all already lining up saying, well, I could beat him. I told you, he had this, he's got that, he's nothing special. Anthony Joshua is special cumulatively with all the things that he does possess and when he puts them together. But it reminds me of that old saying in my gym for wrestling. It's better to learn the ordinary moves extraordinarily well than to learn the extraordinary moves just ordinarily well. So he does know the basics, and he does them all efficiently and extraordinarily well. We just didn't get a chance to see it against his opponent the other night.
I think the bottom line with the opponent was that the height gave him trouble, and he seemed off timing. His timing was clearly off. And yeah, I agree with you. He's got punching power, but it certainly didn't seem it. And let's make no mistake, Carlos Takam, no disrespect to him, he's no world beater. No. Otherwise, he would have already been a champ. So, also on that card, Dillian White won a unanimous decision over Robert Holinas. It was a pretty not exciting. Let's just say this: it wasn't.
Well, there was more action in that than it was with the Joshua fight.
I disagree with that, but 119, 109 twice, 118, 111, all in favor of Dillian White. He improves to 22-1 with 16 knockouts. His only loss coming to the hands of AJ. Robert Holinas guaranteed a knockout victory. Couldn't come through. He drops to 25-2. Also on that card, super flyweight Khalid Yafai improved to 23-0 when he defended his title against Sho Ishida, who drops to 24-1. The way the judges scored it, 118, 110, and two of them had it, 116, 112. And the British light heavyweight champion Frank Buglani improved to 21-2 with a draw when he won a unanimous decision over Craig Richards, who drops the first fight of his career, 10-1, 117, 111 twice, 116, 113. Another fighter a couple of fighters to keep an eye on. In the cruiserweight division, Lawrence Oakley knocked out Adam Williams in the third round, and in the light heavyweight division, Joshua Butasi won a 6-round decision over Sayud Sal. So those are some fights that took place on the undercard. Two other fights I want to get to real quick. A guy that I've always loved going to watch him. He did spend some time in the Slammer, making a mistake, but he's back, and I'm talking about Matt the Sharpshooter Remillard. He improved to 26-1 when he took care of Yardley Cruz, who drops to 22-9 at the Foxwoods Casino. on Saturday. Friday night, the World Boxing Super Series result. Jürgen Brahmer wins to move on. He improves to 49-3 in the World Boxing Super Series light heavyweight. It was a former light heavyweight, but this fight was fought at super middleweight. 119, 109, 118, 110, 116, 112. Rob Brandt loses for the first time in his career, 22-1. And with this fight, Sal, it's exactly what I said would happen. I and you both picked Rob Brandt. However,
yes, we did.
Rob Brandt, acted like a sparring partner in this fight. He did not take the lead. This is the problem when young fighters, especially talented fighters, become sparring partners, and they're doing it to make a living. I get it. But the sparring partner mentality is totally different than a real fight. And if you're in sparring sessions with a lot of good fighters over a long period of time, your mindset becomes that of a sparring partner, and that's what he looked like against Jürgen Brahmer. This kid should have beaten Jürgen Brahmer. Jürgen Brahmer's 39 years old, and no disrespect to him. He won the fight and won it unanimously. But Rob Brandt's a sparring partner, and that's what he's going to be. Your thoughts?
Well, you hit it on the head, Bill. I tried to stick up for the sparring partner mentality and say that, you do know how to break through. You do know how to break away from that mindset. You're not just going to be there as a punching bag or lack of a better term, just to move and volley some punches or rally some punches and combinations. But he did just do that. It seemed like that. Jürgen Brahmer, to his credit, He was effective from the outside, effective from the inside. He did a good job. I like the older fighters sometimes, but I root for them. And I thought, though, that Brandt was going to take care of him. And that was the one fight that you and I picked that didn't go the way we thought it would.
All during last week we got to read Johnston Brown. He's got a column up on BillyCBoxing.com, but he was kind enough to send us the diary of Anthony Joshua leading up to the fight. And obviously we didn't get a chance to read the fifth part, which was the final one that actually came out after we did our show on Friday, or it came out the same time we did our show. We didn't get a chance to read it. And it was before the fight. So there's a couple of points in this one I want to get to. I'm not going to be able to read it all because we did get an updated one, and actually a part 6 on some results, some thoughts from Anthony Joshua after the fight. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Anthony Joshua in his fifth part, he says, and I'm skipping through a lot of stuff, but he says, it's all about dedication, and that has to start early. There were Saturday nights in the past where I could have gone out with my mates, but my cousin and I would go running instead because we had that bug. The sacrifices are paying off now. I don't say paid off because I haven't stopped yet. I still enjoy it. I'm happy with the pace of my career. Of course, we wouldn't be talking about another sellout in a national stadium. Otherwise, if he wasn't enjoying it, he means. But I'm realistic, and I know where I'm at. This is my career. Who knows what might happen? I might take a fight next that's too soon. It might cost me. All that matters is winning. Not that people outside of my circle say. I listen to my coach, and if he's happy, I'm happy. This isn't about putting on a show for the promoters or anyone else. It's my career, it's my life, it's my health, and my future, so you have to be smart and make the right decisions. I'm still a threat to everyone because I still have the hunger, but I'm smarter now with my decisions. I'm not reckless. I'm calculated, but I'm a dangerous man. All these guys talk about me all the time, and it's always negative. Sooner or later, I'll be ramming my jab down their throats. In every fight, you think about losing. It's not the fear. It's just the reality of boxing. Every time that I fight, I have to win. And there was more to this one, but I'm going to read to the post-fight Anthony Joshua thoughts. But, Sal, the one thing that I think Anthony Joshua could benefit from, and I understand fully about a fighter. It's my life, it's my future. I'm going to make the right decisions. When I hear fighters say that, I can't help but think that, they're thinking, well, let me take the easier way out, and that's just my assumption, and hopefully I'm wrong with that. But on the other side of the coin, I see a guy that could use a mean streak. Anthony Joshua, yes, he has shown us heart and determination and skill, etc., etc. He is getting better, although I thought he looked ordinary Saturday night. But the one thing he is lacking, and it was something that Vladimir Klitschko lacked, which his brother Vitaly did not, and that's a mean streak. That's that Mike Tyson-esque, and I'm not trying to have him be a Mike Tyson, but I'm just using it as an example. He's got to have a mean streak. He's got to go in there, seek and destroy type of an attitude. He doesn't seem to have that. He's happy about breaking an opponent down, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's your thoughts on his comments and what I just said?
No, Bill, you get up close and personal, but yeah, most fighters, most champions, a lot of them, they have a mean streak, and they can tap into it anytime, flip it on a dime. And I have a mean streak. Some well-known fighters have definitely a mean streak, and you use that for the fuel for your fire. You want to have I don't want to say controlled rage, but I mean, it's a lot of times that's the aggression, that's the mentality that you're going in there like a warrior. You're gonna make them suffer. You're gonna make them pay. You're gonna make them feel your fists and have pain. And it's a mean streak, but like I said, it's a controlled aggression and rage. You can't lose your head about it. Anthony Joshua is a gentleman. He's a real good, solid guy, and if he just gets a little bit of, I'm gonna, he's got to try and make that a change and difference if he can. But I don't know if he can tap in. He's a great, solid fighter. There's, some fighters like him, maybe he doesn't need a mean streak up to now.
Oh, imagine him with a mean streak, though. He'd probably
forget about it.
Probably kill someone.
But I don't know how. It's nothing you could really train and develop. I mean, it's something that's innate. You got a little fire that you flip a switch, and all of a sudden you just come alive at a different level.
We're going to take a short break, but first, because my man Johnston had sent me the diary, he's got the last part here that I'm going to read in its entirety as soon as we come back from break. But I'm going to start it off by a question he's got. He says, hey, Billy C. and Sal, I enjoyed the fights on Saturday night and have to give huge credit to Takam. But let's face it, he did get beat up pretty much every round, so I don't blame the referee from stopping the fight. I'm interested to know what Sal's verdict is. Would he have been disappointed if he was in Takam's shoes? Go ahead, Sal. Give us your quick thoughts. I got to take a break here in 30 seconds.
Yes. And you know what? I think that's a great question, solid question. As I said, yes, I had the fight up to that point. I think I had 99-81. I may have given the fifth round as a draw. That's about it. Otherwise, Anthony Joshua was pitching a shutout, and he dropped them in the fourth round with a 10-8 round. But no, Takam, I thought he should have had a little fire, a little. He should have moved and been a little bit more. He tried at spots and at times he came in there, and if I had my punching power and as Takam has his, I would have been disappointed because I still have a puncher's chance, and even though I'm down in deficit, it ain't over till it's over, and I didn't think it was a stoppage that needed to take place at that moment. He wasn't really in big trouble. It was cumulatively, yes, as I said, hey, the guys, like I said the other week when we saw a fight, he was getting beaten every round. He wasn't really in the fight, and the referee made a call and stopped the fight earlier. And I see that if he's continuing to take punishment. But I don't think that Takam was taking a relentless beating.
I got to take a break, Sal. That's why I said quick. You could finish that thought in a second. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C. will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money.
It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Stop living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now. I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
It was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace? Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And just before we went to break, we were about to read the final installment of Anthony Joshua. It's actually part 6. My man Johnston Brown was sending it to us. And this was his thoughts from the diary after the fight. Anthony Joshua said, I got 10 rounds in. There was a lot of blood, but people aren't satisfied. I'm learning that. He says there's 2 outcomes, win and lose. I got the win, so I got to be happy with that. I'm not there to make decisions, and I still haven't watched the fight yet, so I don't know about the stoppage. If the referee didn't stop it, was Carlos Takam going to win the fight? I'm not too sure. If he had gone further, would I have knocked him out? Again, I don't know. His eyes were split open. He was dabbing away at all the cuts all the time and kept looking at the referee as if to say, do something about this. When the stoppage came, he may have been able to go on a bit longer, but I think the outcome was going to be the same, and I was going to win, which I agree with, Sal. I'm not suggesting. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that.
No.
Takam was going to win the fight. I just,
no.
It just seems strange, the stoppage. But anyway, he says, I was delivering the fight. I heard him. I slashed his eyes with punches, and my kit was covered in blood at the end. It was pure white before the fight, but pink at the end of it. He was a tough man. He had a strong head. He has a short build, so he's used to dealing with tall guys, and he knows how to keep moving and stay out of trouble, so I just took my time. The headbutt was just one of those things that can happen in a fight. He got cut on his eyes, and his corner did a great job to keep him in the fight. I got buttered in the second round, and it busted my nose, but my corner did a good job, too, of looking after me and getting me through the 10 rounds. The doctor felt it after the fight and said that it was just badly bruised, not broken, so that's good. He says you don't see a headbutt coming, and it's harder than a punch. It's a crunching feeling. I just needed to get through that round okay, because the referee doesn't give you time to get yourself together and have a breather when there's an accidental headbutt. It's another thing for me to experience, and I got through it and managed it as it was gushing with blood at first. As a fighter, you have the natural instinct to hurt your opponent, as that's the name of the game. I saw that Takam was hurt a few times in the fight, but I didn't want to go steaming in looking for the knockout. I wanted it to come naturally and was slowly looking for the knockout. It was a completely different fight to me than one against Vladimir Klitschko, and that's a night that I cannot just live off of, which I'm glad he said that. I'm not going to go into my rest in my armchair forever reminiscing about that fight. It sounded like it earlier in the week, right? I mean, it did sound like that, right, Sal? I mean, earlier in the week.
I think he heard you, Bill. Hey, you can't, maybe that connection with Johnston is a lot more important than he thought.
He says, guys like Takam have completely different styles, so you got to put the past to one side and deal with the present, as it could be a curse. Takam, like Klitschko, is done. Now I got to move on. There's a lot of interest in my next move, and the more interest, the more pressure. I'm just rolling with the punches, so there's no stress on me. The fights that people want to see are going to happen, but like the million fighters before, certain things have to happen before the big fights can happen. I got mandatory obligations with the belts. That's just how it is. I'm not looking at 2018 yet. I'll take it day by day, but we're not out of 2017 yet. I'll rest and then get back to the gym and look to work and improve. The possibilities are exciting, but you never know the landscape of boxing and what might happen. Heavyweight boxing's crazy. Look at Takim's face afterwards. You have to be mad. It's gladiatorial, and you have to be very tough. That's what drives people to come and watch. You can never get used to the crowds as big as that. Having the pressure and people's expectations is a lot to deal with. I got 10 rounds in. There was a lot of blood, but still some people aren't satisfied. I'm learning that. You have to tick every box. The more interest there is, the more boxes there are to tick. But it's good that there's so much interest. There's still a lot more to come. The one thing I am stuck on with this final, and again, I want to thank Johnston for hooking us up with this.
Absolutely. Thanks,
the one thing that sticks out in my mind, Sal, I want to get your thoughts, is that he says, I saw that Takam was hurt a few times in the fight, but I didn't want to go steaming in looking for the knockout. I wanted it to come naturally and was slowly looking for the knockout. To me, that sounds like something they worked on in the gym. That sounds like he was reluctant to do what his instinct said and kind of went the route of, whatever his corner was telling him leading up to this fight. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, if that's the actual scenario and case, I mean, hey, you smell blood or you see blood, you go for it. I mean, like I said, it's a controlled rage, if you will, Bill. It's I don't know if that's the right term I should use, but you look at it, you see you got something there. You want to end it because you can never tell. You can never know what's going to happen next in a sport of boxing, whether it's a cut, whether it's this, whether it's that. So if you see you have an opportunity to end the fight, you go for it. You go for the kill right there. And I think Anthony Joshua, as a gentleman and as a pretty methodical in a way that he approaches a fight, I could see him doing what he did. But the bottom line is, I didn't think Takam that whole fight. I thought the referee maybe should have gone to a ringside doctor and say, "Hey, what do you think? How the cuts? How do you feel?" I thought there could have been something. Not that he was going to win the fight. I'm not saying that, but I just thought it was a bizarre time to stop the fight the way he did stop the fight. And if Anthony Joshua saw some opportunity where he could have been a little more aggressive and then the fight, I think he should have taken it. That's all.
Yep. No, I agree.
You gotta listen to your instinct at times.
Well, that's a double-edged sword because that you're working on stuff, and we've said it ourselves that as a fighter, when a fighter starts thinking that he doesn't need his trainer, except to hold the water bottle, then you got problems. So I'm glad that that one of the assets, one of the reasons I like Anthony Joshua so much is that he has this willingness to continue to learn, and he doesn't act like he knows it all the way a lot of fighters do. And I applaud him for that. My point was, it just seemed like, he was working on that, and it just appeared that he was, we used the word robotic, but it kind of appeared like he was thinking too much, Sal.
Well, yes, and I remember. You want to hear some funny comments? You're going through the ranks, you're going through the fights as an amateur, and I remember even Richie Giacchetti would say, "Well, you're thinking too much. You're thinking too much. Get it." And I knew what he was saying, and you got to have the innate ability to change up on a dime, and just let the instincts and your body move where it feels it's going to go. Yes, you should listen to your corner. Yes, you should definitely see an overall picture and the big picture. But it's something else where you can overanalyze, and when you do that, you're going to have what they call the old paralysis through analysis, and that's what you cannot do, and that might be robotic. Like if you're coming along, you say, "Well, I got to hit him there," but maybe I'll just boom there and take it there. So sometimes your instincts, listen to your gut, and keep your hands up. That's it.
Yep. No, I agree with you there. There's no question about it. Bottom line, Sal. I love Anthony Joshua. Still think he's the best heavyweight in the world. But on Saturday, he looked ordinary to me. And, I believe it was the adjustment to the shorter opponent. And when you're that much shorter, and the style, he wasn't used to the style. And he looked ordinary on Saturday.
No, and I agree. And but here I'm thinking about something here too. Maybe his corner would tell him what they told him to let it come naturally, let this and that. Maybe they were concerned that he would have a repeat of what he did with Klitschko, punch himself out in a big round if he tried to end the round. You never know. Maybe they're still concerned about that. So, maybe that's why he listens. Maybe he had that old little professor in his head also say, "Hey, I'm not going to let it all out in this round and try to spend myself trying to knock him out. It will come naturally, and I'll take the opportunity when it comes." And that's what happened.
Yeah, well, like I said, a win's a win.
Win's a win.
We're at least I'm being critical of a guy who won the fight. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of Camp Wilder. Obviously they're going to make it like they're better and everything else. But the bottom line is AJ, in my opinion, is the best heavyweight in the world. Won by knockout, and like he said, it's not his job to stop the fight. It's not his job to score the fight. He just fights the fight. And he got a win. He's going to move on. At this point, I'm sure he's going to relax for the rest of 2017 and come back with a vengeance in 2018. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good game plan. I mean, it's already October. You don't want to see him fight in 2 months, and I think he should really just regroup and take a break. I'll tell you what I was concerned about. He looked bigger than a house than he's ever have been. I mean, his frame could carry the weight, but maybe his corner. Did they say he was at all-time heavy on the scales when he came in the ring the other night?
Yeah, he wanted to be a little lower than he was, but
yeah.
Listen, we're gonna take.
You know what?
We gotta take a break again. We got these restrictions. I gotta take a break. I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Stop. Living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now. I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
It was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you! I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. And before I move forward here, I just want to comment on a comment in the chat room, Sal, from
Yes.
our buddy Joel. He says, "Do you expect Wilder to say the Bomb Squad wants Anthony Joshua next after Saturday's fight?" And I do expect him to say it. And I expect him to not only say it, but I expect him to say AJ is nothing. He's got to come to Deontay because Deontay's the man in the division. That's what I expect Deontay Wilder to say because that's what he's been saying for quite some time. He has the delusion that he's the best heavyweight in the division. So, I expect him to call out AJ, but making accusations that AJ has to come to him. What do you think?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, as I always say, anything. Two things I always say: anything can happen any given night, and we look at a fighter as being only as good as his last fight. And with that being said, you're going to see several contenders coming out now and saying, "Hey, I want to get in the ring with Joshua now." And don't take me wrong, I agree with you, Bill. I think Anthony Joshua is one of the best out there today. But like I said, whether it's rhetoric or so, but these guys are going to think that they're going to be able to have a good chance with getting in the ring with Anthony Joshua. And that's what they see in their mind from their fight, from their watching the fight. And so I think Deontay Wilder is going to pound his chest, saying, "I want to show that Josh was just ordinary. I'm ready for him. I want this." But that key word, but. He's going to probably want to lay out some conditions that aren't going to be really on equal basis. So,
they already offered. Listen, they already offered. Deontay Wilder has not made $2 million in the ring yet. Has not made $2 million inside the ring.
That's a shame.
All right,
and that says a lot.
And Anthony Joshua has made double digits many times.
Yes.
But here's the thing. You know, it was reported last week that Eddie Hearn offered AJ $7 million to come fight Anthony Joshua in England. Okay, never made $2 million. Offered him $7 million. But here's the kicker: offered him 100% of the USA television rights, which means wherever they land it, if it's pay-per-view or on Showtime, whatever, that Deontay gets that money by himself. So he would clearly be making in excess of $10 million to go to England. It makes no sense for Deontay to want to have that fight in the U.S. because the U.S., I got news for you. First of all, the U.S. doesn't have a venue that'll pack the people in that England has. That's number one. And number two, they're not going to pay that kind of money. They're not. There's no place that's going to pay him where he'll make more than that. I'm sorry, but this is where the negotiations will get out of hand. But anyway, Anthony Joshua is in the driver's seat in the heavyweight division. And everyone knows it except Deontay Wilder. So we'll see what happens.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. All right. I got some emails to read. First and foremost, outside of boxing, we'll get you caught up with some other sports. World Series action. What a game last night. 10 innings it took the Astros to beat the Dodgers 13-12. 14 hits each team had, 28 in total, which is a lot of hits for a World Series, especially when you had each team put up their top pitcher. The Astros head back to Los Angeles with a 3-2 series lead, 2 games left. All they got to do is win one game. So we'll see what happens beginning tomorrow night. Over in the NFL, the Vikings beat the Browns 33-16 in England. The Bills topped the Raiders 34-14. Bengals over the Colts 24-23. The Patriots beat the Chargers 21-13. Saints beat the Bears 20-12. The Falcons beat my hapless Jets. What a piece of garbage team. Choke the whole nine. That quarterback is as dumb as a box of rocks, and he's even smarter than that stupid coach. 25-20, the Jets lose. The Eagles beat the 49ers 33-10. The Panthers righted their ship 17-3 over the Bucks. The Seahawks tried their hardest to lose to the Texans, but they hung on to win 41-38. The Cowboys beat the Redskins 33-19. The Steelers over the Lions 20-15. That got you all caught up in the NFL. Over in the NBA, the Bucks topped the Hawks 117-106. The Pacers over the Spurs 97-94. The Nuggets over the Nets 124-111. The Hornets over the Magic 120-113. The Wizards beat the Kings 110-83. The Knickerbockers win over the Cavs 114-95. The Pistons 115 over the Warriors 107. In hockey action with 3 games, the Ducks beat the Hurricanes 4-3 in a shootout. The Jets topped the Penguins 7-1. And the Flames, those Flames, they beat the Capitals 2-1. So that gets you all caught up with other sports. We got some emails. First one is from Coach. He says, hey, Billy C., talking about a potential showdown with Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker told the New Zealand Herald, the more I watch him, the more I want to fight him. I've wanted to fight him for ages, but we're waiting for them to give us a good offer. It looked like Joshua was struggling a bit trying to knock him out. I thought Takam, and afterwards Joshua said if I had fought him, I would have knocked him out. He couldn't knock him out, and I think it was an early stoppage. The more I see him, the more I think, damn, if I fought this guy, I'd knock him out. Coach says, with the understanding that pot is illegal in New Zealand, even with Joshua's less than impressive performance after reading Parker's quotes, I have only have one question to ask. What drugs is Parker on? The funny thing is I would have expected more people. I would have expected a rant from Deontay Wilder to come out saying along the lines of the same thing. The part about this that sticks out the most is I've wanted to fight him for a long time. We're waiting for them to give us a good offer. Well, what's good? I mean, what are they looking for? $100 million? They're not going to get it. You know, we just heard that they're willing to give Deontay Wilder, which is a big, big draw, $7 million plus all this USA rights. So realistically, what the hell would Joseph Parker, who nobody even looks at as a champion, to be honest with you, no disrespect to Parker or his team or New Zealand, but the truth of the matter is how much more does he think he's going to get? You know, I would think that if they offered Parker $5 million, he should jump all over it. But you know, we'll have to wait to see. What do you think?
I think you're 100% correct. I think, you know, the fight that everyone really wants to see right now that would be on the forefront would be the Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight. And I think after you just explained to everybody what the deal was and the offer was to Deontay Wilder, he'd be silly. That's being diplomatic. He'd be stupid not to jump on it and take it, and go over to England, and get the whole rights and everything else. Joseph Parker, I don't know what he's waiting for. You know, if he thinks he really has to get in, I don't think he should be waiting for the offer, because, you know, he's got to be the one willing to listen to reason and get in the ring and hoping to perform at his best. I don't know. I like to see Deontay Wilder before Parker.
We got another email. This is from my man Mitch. He says AJ made over $30 million when all the money came in for the Klitschko fight. $30 million.
Wow.
He'll make $20 million, and that's just the guaranteed money for the Carlos Takam fight, or to be exact, $19,666,875, according to the pounds dollars conversion. 15 million pounds is equal to $20 million. He says, I mean, say that to yourself a few times. $20 million to fight Carlos freaking Takam. You were right on two fronts, Billy C. One, Deontay, take your $10 million, do it in the UK, and shut the F up. And number two, this guy should never leave the UK to fight. If he can continue to win, he'd be a billionaire. He doesn't need the U.S. He doesn't. Thanks, Mitch.
No,
you're the man.
I agree.
He doesn't need to leave the U.K., and anybody that suggests otherwise is an idiot. And the truth of the matter is the only reason AJ would want to come over to the U.S. to fight is if AJ wants to come over to the U.S. and fight. That's the end of that. Why would you want to leave your home country where you're packing it? You know, it was kind of funny to watch his walk, his ring walk on Saturday. Did you notice something about his ring walk, Sal?
No, I didn't really notice too much of his ring walk, but I'll tell you what I did notice, no matter what he does or did in the ring that showed, you know, him coming out of his shell or coming alive, I mean, the fans just go crazy. They love this guy. I mean, this guy could I mean, he's incredible. They love him. So, I mean, it's all about him. And you know what? He's in the backyard. And if he's getting $20 million for a fight like against Takam, man, don't ever leave home without it.
Listen, you know, I noticed something about the ring walk that was kind of eerie, and I'll tell you what it was. When you watched Carlos Takam walk in, he had the music blaring, and the Brits are tough, man. They're booing him and stuff like that. But when Anthony Joshua came out, he came out, no place to hide. You know, they're playing the music. They have that flame AJ, and he stands there for a while. And then there's silence. And Anthony Joshua walked all the way to the ring with no music playing, with just the sounds of the crowd cheering and stuff like that. I found that's kind of intimidating, I would think, to another fighter. You know, as you hear, whatever it was, I think they broke an indoor record, maybe 78,000 or something like that. I think they had, because they had the roof closed, so it was considered an indoor stadium, not an outdoor stadium. I think they had almost 80,000 or something, 78.
Jeepers creepers,
you know,
man, that's an unbelievable live gate. I can't believe it.
To hear 80,000 people cheering, no music. That had to be kind of bone chilling for Carlos Takam. I give him credit.
That'd be awestruck.
For hanging in there. Yeah. We got one last email here. This one's from my man Chris Flan. Hey Chris, what's up, brother? He says, the title, Mauro Ranallo scripted lines on Showtime Boxing. I hate Mauro Ranallo. I think he's the worst. This is a guy, they introduced him as the voice of Showtime Boxing. This guy, he just I mean, when you have a Hall of Famer like Al Bernstein there, and Paulie Malignaggi does a pretty damn good job himself. They're both sitting there looking like idiots because Mauro Ranallo is stepping all over them, coming up with these stupid. Anyway, let me read the email. He says, "Hey Billy C, did you hear Mauro Ranallo's call for the end of the Joshua fight? It was predetermined. He read it or had it memorized. It didn't match what was going on. Even Paulie and Al Bernstein had to distance themselves from that. It's not the first time Mauro Ranallo has done this. Listen to his scripted call after Joshua beat Klitschko compared to HBO's version, or when Mayweather beat McGregor. His endings are predetermined. Is this what happens when you have a pro wrestler announcer as your lead? I guess he will continue to give us scripted emotion instead of real emotion. Can someone please call him out on this? I still want to hear I still want to hear down goes Frazier or Chavez versus Taylor, not some wrestling announcer with scripted lines that don't match the ending of a fight. Listen, I got to be honest with you, Chris. As soon as I saw Ranallo was calling it, I turned the sound off. I can't stand Mauro Ranallo. This guy is terrible. And how he must have sucked somebody's you-know-what to get the job. He had to have, because anybody in their right mind has to realize that this guy is not a fit for professional boxing. He is terrible, terrible. I'd like to punch the shit out of him, really. I can't stand him, Sal.
I'm not quite that far on board, Bill, but I'll tell you what. The suits must think that he does something or adds something. He's got an animated voice. He's got something he does, tries to make it bigger than life. I just don't know if he has the credibility to sell it all the time. Obviously, he doesn't in your eyes. But as far as the scripted analysis or so, yeah, I could see that. And, that was my big hang-up with Larry Merchant when he used to do it for HBO. I always felt no matter who won, he already had the script ready to read and ready to go. And it was pre-written and all that. And so that turned me off big time against Larry Merchant. So I know tenfold what you mean against Ranallo.
Listen, Ranallo, he doesn't even know the sport. I'm sorry, he doesn't know the sport. And he cuts off those guys when they're trying to educate the viewer. And there's no comparison with Larry Merchant.
No.
And Larry Merchant, I wasn't a huge fan of Larry Merchant. And the reason was because Larry Merchant tried to make the spin on boxing like he was highly intelligent. He was trying to baffle the people that he was interviewing with his BS. I like to hear D's and do's and don'ts. Not that boxing people are stupid, but it just matches the fight. It just matches the fight. You can't be all prim and proper when you're talking about somebody kicking the shit out of another person. You just can't, And Larry, that was my hang up with Larry Merchant. But at least Larry Merchant knew the sport. Mauro Ranallo is just, he's a listen, WWE fits him. He reminds me of the guys from the WWF, Mean Gene Okerlund. You might as well put Mean Gene Okerlund in there. You don't Mean Gene. Come on. Mauro Ranallo is the worst. He ruins a good night. I refuse. You know what? I refuse to listen to him. And like I said, whoever has him penciled in there, he must be performing some special favors for Mauro Ranallo. He must be. So that's the way it is. I don't have to be easy. I'm telling it the way it is. It's the truth. The bottom line is he's doing something, because he's certainly not doing the right thing when it comes to boxing. There's so many other boxing announcers out there. I would rather even have Jim Lampley, who has lost the ability to call a fight without punch stats, calling a fight over Mauro Ranallo. And by the way, Showtime has a good collection of announcers. They have Barry Tompkins and Steve Farhood that are better than all the rest. And then they still have Al and Paulie, which are two very good announcers. So I'm sorry. I just I can't see it. I just can't. I'm sorry. It just makes no sense at all to me, Sal.
No, I agree. You know, you were ratting off some old names and stuff. Let me ask you something, because I often wonder this. He called one or two of my fights on ESPN, and it was an old guy that I loved him. I liked him, of course, because I shared the same name. Whatever happened to Sal Marciano?
Sal Marciano used to be the partner for Al Bernstein.
ESPN. I know that. Whatever happened to him?
He was very good, and Al Bernstein has never said anything negative. Sal Marciano is I believe is still working with ESPN. He does a lot of football, but he has been brought in for specialty boxing stuff. But he's doing other things, but he's still around. Sal Marciano,
I like Sal Marciano.
Was good. And there's many great boxing announcers. Howard Cosell was good. I mean,
Howard Cosell, yes, he was good.
I mean, Al Bernstein, I thought was always the best. I mean, Barry Tompkins was good too, but this Mauro Ranallo, garbage. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. I really wouldn't. The guy. To me, is terrible. It ruins the broadcast when you have to listen to him making. He hit him so much to the body, he was expecting candy to fall out. I mean, come on. Man. Come on.
I don't want to hear. You're right, Bill. Forget about it. I would love to see if there was ever an opportunity, Sal Marciano come back with Bernstein just for one fight. Just to see if they had the chemistry and could do the fight. I would love to see that.
What? Oh, Sal Marciano?
Come back for one fight with Bernstein.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just would like to see Al and
anybody, but
I'd like to see Al and the custodian or the toilet cleaning engineer, as we call him today. Doing it with Ranallo. I can't see that Ranallo is helping the ratings. I can't see that. And how they would pick him is beyond me. The guy, he brings the broadcast down. I mean, generally Showtime has decent fight. Well, sometimes they have decent fights. Sometimes they have showcase fights. Most of the time these days. But I mean, I can't see when you have all these opportunities, all these options at calling a fight, how Mauro Ranallo gets picked. It's a joke to me, Sal. It really is.
Yeah, I understand, and I agree with you there. Like I said, the suits must decide something. They think, like I said, his animation and his thing. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be. Oh, we gonna see. They like it. They like it.
Who likes
it? It's a draw.
Who likes it?
The suits that put him there.
Well, here's the ironic twist to that. The suits that put him there are the same idiots that think that just because you have an O on your record means you're good.
Well, that's what
they're
I'm
the
talking
same
about,
idiots
Bill.
that see a guy that's undefeated and says this guy must be a good fighter because he hasn't lost. The problem, and I say this all the time, is that boxing doesn't have enough boxing people involved in it. And I know that you can't have a boxing specialist for a cable network or a television network to make decisions on boxing. But guess what? I would think it would be a smart move to have a boxing consultant to talk to the programming directors to suggest opponents and fights, etc., rather than just look at a sheet that says, hey, this guy, Yuka Bachibov from some country you never heard of, he's 28-0, must be good, never heard of a guy he fought, must be good though, he's 28-0, let's put him on the show. No. And Mauro Ranallo, a guy that is ruining a broadcast, and the only thing I thank Ranallo for is giving me the opportunity to watch the fights without the sound, because it gives me a better representation of the fight without listening to his stupid remarks. It's a shame that I do miss Al Bernstein's, because he, gives you intelligent statements when he's watching a fight. And Paulie Malignaggi will give you an intelligent viewpoint from a former fighter and a former champion fighter, I must add. So I mean, I'm missing those because of Mauro Ranallo.
No, I agree with you, and I like to listen.
Now you agree with me. You disagreed with me before.
Saying why they put him in there, the suits that have the decision-making ability. Think he's animated enough and create some of the drama or create some of the spin on things that, it is what it is. They're the ones that make the decisions, and obviously they don't really look at what the fans' real core desires are.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to know, they're making some comments in the chat room. And, I'm curious to know if the younger fans, obviously I'm ancient. I'm old. I've seen comments, oh, he's just an old guy. Yeah, I'm old. But I wonder if the young...
Don't put me in that category.
Well, you're older than me. But, the truth of the matter is the young fans, you like that? You like him? You think that Ranallo is good? Listening to him? I mean, the guy, he's stupid looking, too. He just doesn't fit with the sport of boxing. He just doesn't. And hey, my man Johnny Blaze is in the chat room. But John, I'm sorry, Johnny Blaze, but maybe it's because this guy's a Canadian. Mauro Ranallo's a Canadian, and he had the nerve to use the Italian card one time. He started saying something about Italians. Oh, me being Italian. Don't you disgrace Italians, Mauro Ranallo, for being an Italian. You're nothing but a piece of garbage. I can't stand Mauro Ranallo. Can't stand him. Did I mention that I can't stand him?
I'm not quite as critical.
You're not as critical. That's because you watch all the replays. You don't watch it. You watch the replays. You're minimal with your subjection to him. You're not subjected to him as much as the rest of the world. I can't. He's garbage. I got to thank Chris Flan for getting me all riled up here today, Sal.
I'm telling you, man. I heard you. I think you should have given Anthony Joshua some of that fire in your belly right now in the fight.
I would rather even have.
You're ready to go. I want to help you get in that fight, Bill. I think he could put a nice exhibition on you and Mauro Ranallo. How's that?
Listen, I even think that I'd rather listen to Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas over Mauro Ranallo. I'd rather listen to Teddy Atlas yelling and screaming and spitting all over his mic, telling everybody how corrupt they are and stupid if they don't agree with him. I'd rather watch that over Mauro Ranallo. Ranallo is terrible for the sport of boxing. WWE, he's perfect for that. He's perfect for that. Listen, you know what makes a good announcer? What makes a good announcer is an announcer that can announce paint drying and make it seem entertaining. And to me, he's trying to sound entertaining, but he's not. And the reason is the same reasons I don't like Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. refers to himself in the third person all the time. Ranallo doesn't do that, but his stupid jokes and him trying to be funny and his comparisons, he's hitting him so much in the belly, he's expecting candy to come out. Those kinds of statements just don't ridiculous. Fit in the sport of boxing. Yeah, maybe one time it's funny. How about, I wish I had a nickel for every time he said how many times he went to Japan. I wish I had a nickel. Even the other day when it was on, before I muted him, he's going, I've been involved with so many world championship fights and in the WWE. I've been all over the world. Who gives a crap about Mauro Ranallo's travel experience? Who cares? It's just, he doesn't talk about what we want to hear. Call the action that's happening in front of you. That's it. That's all we want from a commentator, Sal.
I hope he's listening now. Maybe we'll take your advice on that.
I hope he drops dead. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got Dax Khan scheduled to join us. Don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money.
It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Stop living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now. I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
And it was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And speaking of being with us, joining Sal and myself right now, after a long, lengthy conversation during the break with Sal, mano a mano, is my man Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Hey, what's going on? You going out to Mauro Ranallo party?
Yeah, I'm going to go to his birthday. He invited me personally. That's S.O.B. What a piece of garbage.
Now, do you like Mauro Ranallo?
And I don't like either one of them. Is it Mauro or Mauro? his brother. I can't stand it. I don't want none of the Ranallos. I don't even like his mother or his father. How about that? And if he's got any other family members, I can't stand anybody with Ranallo as a last name. I don't like you. But anyway.
You mentioned Barry Tompkins before, and with this Deontay Wilder in a second, we'll talk about him for a minute. But if on the undercard of the Wilder-Further fight, Barry Tompkins was on the Showtime broadcast. And next time you get to catch that, why don't you see what title he has Bernard Hopkins defending against Carol Morant?
What, he messed up?
Not even the right division.
Well, Barry's getting a little old, but he's way better.
2 divisions.
He's way better than Ranallo. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. This past weekend, AJ fought a very tough Carlos Takam. Dax, the best way that I described it after evaluating the fight is Anthony Joshua looked ordinary. I don't know if we give Carlos Takam the credit. I also had mentioned earlier in the show that it took a while for the Klitschko brothers to become proficient in fighting smaller guys. Then it was actually took them a time to adjust to fighting guys the same size as them, because they became so proficient fighting smaller guys. I thought it was a case of that with AJ. I'm not discrediting him, but like I said, I think he just looked ordinary in that fight. What's your thoughts and analysis on the fight?
Well, remember a conversation we had, and that's what me and Sal were talking about. And matter of fact, we had it on the show that I said after Joshua stopped Charles Martin so easily for that title, and my thoughts on him and his future. We know AJ's a star. 78,000 live fans. Some were reselling tickets for 45,000 in U.S. equivalent to the British pound. He's a megastar. Great. We know this. He has 20 wins now, all 20 by knockout. But you know what? He is not the talent of a Vasyl Lomachenko. He's not the talent of a Guillermo Rigondeaux. He's not a guy that should have been thrust into this position, and we see that too much in boxing. It is okay, as soon as we can make money off a guy, we can get him a title shot, let's get him the title shot. Forget about the longevity. It's all about the now, the now, the now. And I know there's people out there, sure, make the money now, but you know what? That's why boxing is the way it is. And if anybody who thinks differently are the ones who really don't know the sport of boxing, and they don't understand why, guys have become legends and superstars for all of eternity, and not just for the flavor of the week, which Anthony Joshua is close to becoming. Carlos Takam, a credible opponent, definitely considering the circumstances. He filled in for Kubrat Pulev, who injured himself in training camp. In 39 fights, his only losses were to Joseph Parker, Gregory Tony early in his career. The only stoppage loss was to Alexander Povetkin. He was giving up a 5-inch height and 20-pound weight disadvantage. But considering all those factors, inside the disadvantages and the last-minute substitute, at no point in time should Carlos Takam have even been, allowed into that fight. Anthony Joshua, allowed him into that fight. Anthony Joshua, from the beginning, he was bothered. Anthony Joshua is one of those fighters that you can tell, he puts all his emotions on his face. He doesn't have a poker face. You can see what's going through his head by those expressions that are so evident. He, in that first round, as soon as Carlos Takam started moving and he was circling around, number one, Anthony Joshua at no point in time had any idea how to cut the ring off, which he should now. Number two is, you can see on its face, I didn't sign up for this tonight. I did not come in here, to go chasing the guy around that was moving. In that second round, when that headbutt happened and Anthony Joshua had that nose started to bleed, what is the first thing he did? He blows his nose. Now, you're an Olympic champion. You're a unified heavyweight champion. You know better. I'm sure you were taught this years ago. You do not sit there and blow out your nose if you think it's bleeding, because what happens then? Your eyes swell, your sinuses swell, and that makes it hard for you to breathe. In round 4, when he dropped Takam, he failed to follow up on it. When you look close at that, you made reference to that before. He didn't go after him like he had in the past. But something also, he was 254 pounds. I don't want to hear, I wanted to come in lighter. You said you had a 10-week training camp. You're going out, putting out all these stupid little diaries that make you look like a moron. You're going out there and you're being a celebrity and a superstar. You're making making all this money. Eddie Hearns is out there selling things for you. You know, everybody's looking at you, and, you know, you're coming in there at the heaviest weight of your career. And what's your excuse for that? Did you come in that weight? Was that your intention if you were going to fight Pulev? You know, what was your intention? Then you had the referee, Phil Edwards, a guy who's a veteran of almost 1,000 fights. He could tell, you know, Joshua, by the fourth round, he looked tired. Remember, when Takam had tried to, and another thing that you referenced earlier, when Takam tried to reference them about, you know, a headbutt in round 4, what does Edwards do? He looks over, you know, he's like, oh, he's ready to wave the fight off. He wants to quit. He wants to quit. Carlos Takam almost had to literally argue with him and tell him, I don't want to quit. You know, in round 5, Takam comes out after him, after Joshua. He's cut, he's bleeding, but he's doing what a veteran fighter does. He knows, you know what, I got to come out here, I got to do something. This guy wants to stop this fight. He's looking for a reason. I got to make sure he has no reason. And what happens? Joshua, he starts taking steps backwards. Carlos Takam, being the veteran that he is, starts working Joshua's body. Joshua did not like that. What happens is Edwards starts distracting Carlos Takam. It's a good thing that AJ's the type of fighter that he is. He realized what referee Edwards was doing. Phil Edwards is calling him, even though he's behind Anthony Joshua. You know, AJ could have easily taken advantage of Carlos Takam looking away, hit him, and if he would have caught him, he probably would have knocked him out. And you know what? The no blame would have been on the referee. It would have been on Carlos Takam for, you know, protect yourself at all times. In round 6, Takam made AJ fight harder than he wanted to. AJ was breathing. He was labored, heavy. AJ looked frustrated. Again, Phil Edwards brings Takam over to the doctor to give Joshua a breather. Joshua was standing there. He's leaning on the ropes. He's huffing. He's puffing. He's sucking air deep. He has a look in his eyes. He just wants the fight over. But you know what? He didn't have it in him to stop that fight. And that's the honest-to-God truth. He didn't have it in him. In round 8, Edwards again stops to bring Joshua over there to get the glove fixed. That little piece of tape was not a problem at that moment. There was no reason to stop that. Again, Edwards distracts Takam right afterwards, you know, right after Takam has a good offensive outburst. They take a look again at the eye in round 9. AJ stands there again, breathing hard. He's slow. His punches are calculated. He's been looking for just one big punch. He's taking one step at a time. You know, at any point in time, I was waiting for him to put his hands on his hips and just bend over and say, you know, I need a timeout. You know, in round 10, yeah, you know, Takam is moving backwards. You know, he's bobbing, he's weaving, he gets caught with one big shot. But on the ropes, you know, Anthony Joshua was about to punch himself out. Joshua missed 4 or 5 big shots. He didn't connect with any of those. As tired as he was going to punch himself out. Carlos Takam was not going to win that fight because he was so far behind on points. But you know something? Those last few rounds, we would have really seen, you know, exactly what Anthony Joshua has been doing in his training camps. You know, the truth, not what's said on paper, not what his people are saying, not what he's promising, the truth. Because you know something? He was tired, he was gassed, and this was a slow-paced fight. I'm sorry, you don't want to say it, you don't want to believe it. Nobody else wants to say it, want to believe it. All the people, you know, and I'm a big Joshua fan. I believe he's the more talented of the two fighters. But if that was if that was Deontay Wilder in the ring on Saturday night, Anthony Joshua would have been knocked out cold.
Well, first of all, I said the same thing earlier, but you're way off on Joshua, Dax. The diary thing I liked. I enjoyed it. It gave us a look inside his head. And as far as the weight issue, he was overweight, but did he look fat? I don't think he looked fat. He did look tired in that fight at times, but not as spent as you're describing. And he looked tired against Klitschko. I just think that he's a big guy and he needs to manage his energy better. I don't know, but did he look ordinary in the fight? Yes, he looked ordinary. Should he have taken out Takam? Yes, he should have. You know, I'm not disputing that. And if he fights the same style fight against Deontay Wilder, he will not beat Deontay Wilder. I said that in the opening of the show, but I think you're being a little too hard as far as to suggest that the referee was helping him. Come on, man. I mean, I think his game plan was to take it into the later rounds because they worked on trying to break down an opponent, and I think that's what he was trying to do. Not that I'm making excuses for him, because I do think he looked extremely ordinary. I said it to kick off the show, but I certainly can't agree with the picture you've painted about that fight. I saw a different fight.
Well, you forget I watch fights differently than you. I watch the fights, and then afterwards, Bill, you know, I go frame by frame. I will watch a fight in slow motion. It will take me 30 minutes to watch a round. I study everything. Matt Baranski taught me that years ago. My stepfather years ago, when we used to watch the old Jack Dempsey films on reel to reel, you know, something, because the film was so bad, sometimes we'd have to actually piece them together, and we'd only see, you know, slow step-by-step motions of it. But over the years, especially, you know, when it comes to a big fights, I like to watch and see exactly what's going through the fighter's mind during these fights, you know, through the body language, you know, and that's exactly the best way, you know, to know exactly what, you know, was coming in the future for them. There was a guy, John Burns, who was a Vegas gambler. He used to tell me that all the time. He goes, you know something, just watch these fights, whether or not it's boxing, whether or not it's kickboxing, MMA, whether or not it's football. He says, you know, you start to see these habits of people. Lennox Lewis, you know, one of my favorite heavyweights, probably my favorite heavyweight of all time. Exactly. This is a guy Anthony Joshua is being compared to way too early, but you know, Lennox Lewis, the same thing early in his career. Lennox Lewis is blasting guys out. He won a world title. He came back from a couple rough moments. The Frank Bruno fight, you know, Lennox was shook. He was stunned. He comes back. He knocks Bruno out. Lennox then he goes and he meets Oliver McCall. What happens? Lennox comes in the heaviest of his career to that point. He can't knock Oliver McCall out with a single punch, and Lennox ends up getting knocked out. Lennox was able to bounce back with the help of Manny Stewart. Anthony Joshua doesn't have a Manny Stewart type guy around him. These diaries that, you know, we're speaking about, I agree, sure, they're great for the fans, it's great for that interaction, but you know something, when you're on that level, when you're making so much money, you're drawing so many fans, and there's so many expectations upon you, you cannot sit there and do both. You have to do one or the other. Are you a superstar, or are you a superstar in boxing, or are you a superstar celebrity, I should say? You have to make up your mind. You're not Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, you know, this is a guy who always spent all his time into the gym, and then, you know, he put this time to aside whether or not to interact with the public and to do his little his interviews and the little Floyd Mayweather type stuff he done. Anthony Joshua has too much on his plate, if you ask me, and it's starting to show. And coming in at 254 pounds with that much muscle and doing amateurish mistakes like sitting there blowing out blood through your nose in the second round, that tells me that Anthony Joshua has a little too much going on, and it may not, and it has nothing to do with his skill set. It just has to do with he's overwhelming himself, and that overwhelming himself is going to be bad for him. And the first time Anthony Joshua loses, all these people that are his fans, and boxing fans are fickle, boxing fans are very, what's the word, they're very unloyal, and the first time a guy loses, they're going to leave you. And if Anthony Joshua should lose when he faces Deontay Wilder, all of a sudden Anthony Joshua becomes nothing but an overrated hype, and, you know, this legacy and everything he's worked so hard for, you know, it's going to go down the tubes fast.
I find it funny, but first of all, he's making more money than Mayweather at 20 fights than Mayweather made at that time. Will he make the money that Mayweather ended his career on? Who knows? But he's making more money per fight than Mayweather did after 20 fights. I mean, give him credit there. And as far as you know, going down as being you know, people bailing on him, listen, he is the full package. He is a celebrity. He is a fighter that, although I'm going against my own rules here, he is a fighter that's still learning on the job, so to speak. You know, and that's not to suggest he shouldn't be taking on all comers, but he is, and that's one of the things I like about the guy, that he corrects his wrongs. And as far as blowing his nose out, for a guy that never was hit in the nose or thought he broke his nose before like that, even with the knockdown that he suffered against Klitschko, and even the alleged knockdowns he suffers in training camp, you know, he obviously never experienced what a good smash in the nose felt like. So he learned, you know, that's the thing. You can't be so critical about somebody who hasn't even learned to take that shot yet. Now, if he does it again, now you have the criticism because you're like, hey, what idiot. You know, don't you know why they didn't tell him in the corner? I don't know. I can't answer that question. But yeah, he had a bad night. There's no question about it. But he still won the fight, and he's going to move on. He still made his money. He's going to move on. There's not a better heavyweight in the division. I do agree that if the same Anthony Joshua fought Deontay Wilder, and even that is hard to even put in perspective because Deontay Wilder has never fought anybody the level of opposition that even Anthony Joshua has faced. So we don't know. We've seen Deontay Wilder destroy opponents. And he struggled with the Eric Molinas and the Johan Duapauses and the Torspitskas and even the Washington. He was losing every round until he knocked him out. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we go by who won the fight. And on Saturday night, although I thought AJ looked ordinary, he won the fight. And he's going to move on to fight another day. And he kept his 20 knockout record intact. I think... I think that you're reading too deep between the lines, and that's just my thought.
Yeah, and it's not just my opinion. Even with the referee Paulie Malignaggi himself, a guy that you were just talking about not too, before he came on the show, on his input and his smarts, a former 2-division world champion. He even said the same thing. He believes the referee allowed his emotions to get in there. On social media, a lot of UK fans and a lot of fighters, a lot of Anthony Joshua fans all said the same thing. The referee stopped this fight too early. When you look at the replay in slow motion, however you want to do it, slow motion on theirs, slow motion like how I do it frame by frame, Anthony Joshua missed a lot of those punches, and when you see all those times that the referee looked for reasons to stop that fight, whether or not it was to check the cut, whether or not it was to sit there and have tape fix and stuff, you could see that this referee was hoping and looking for any reason to give Anthony Joshua a little bit of a breather. He could tell Anthony Joshua looked horrible, and they also know that, and Anthony Joshua, if he didn't get the knockout, all of a sudden this Deontay Wilder fight didn't become as appealing as it is right now, and that's a fact.
I don't know. I would think Deontay Wilder would want to fight him quicker and faster after that fight.
Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua was the one that says, I need time, not Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's ready to fight him tomorrow in the backyard.
Yeah, that's what Deontay Wilder's Kool-Aid makes you believe. But to turn down $7 million and all the U.S. television rights, I guess it's not about the money with Deontay Wilder, huh?
Well, you know what? I don't drink the Kool-Aid. You have me confused for I don't know who, but I don't drink the Kool-Aid. I said, and I've always said, Anthony Joshua is the better pure talent. It's just, what he's doing. He's letting too much overwhelm him. Manny Pacquiao, there's a guy, an all-time great. Look at Manny Pacquiao. Anytime that he allowed these outside things to get involved during his training camps and his preparations up to fights, Manny Pacquiao came in. He looked horrible. He looked ordinary. But you know something? Manny Pacquiao, by that time, had already won titles in 4 and 5 divisions. Anthony Joshua, you're saying he's learning on the job, but Bill, you said it yourself. I've heard you bash guys because other people said, "Oh, I'm still learning on the job." It's okay for Anthony Joshua, but it's not okay for other guys.
No, it's okay for a fighter to take on all comers after they're a champion and say they're learning on the job. What I bash fighters for is taking little tune-up, easy fights and claim that they're still learning on the job. And he didn't pick Takam. Takam was a guy that was laid on him.
Eddie Hearn had him already in reserve.
He's the next available guy. That's the way the IBF rolls. What can I say? But anyway, any other thoughts? Did you want to talk about the Dillian White fight?
The Dillian White fight, he won. He made that fight tougher on himself than he should have. Again, he didn't up his stock at all, which I was, quite disappointed about. Dillian White, he's starting to show himself that really he is the very next Derek Chisora. He's ushering the Derek Chisora era in. What fight I really did like on there, and I was happy with, was the WBA Super Flyweight fight between Khalid Yafai and Sho Ishida. I said on Friday that, these guys were going to put on an impressive display of boxing ability. Yafai, skill-wise, can definitely, and he proved it on Saturday night, he can definitely hang with all these other top names. But, I'm happy that that division was actually given a spot on such a high-profile card. I believe Yafai is a guy who can't really go in there and hang with the Juan Francisco Estradas or the Anuis or the Haigas or even the Rungvisi, certainly not, but he's definitely a guy who can go out there and fight with the McJoe Arroyos. And those divisions there, I was thinking something about throwbacks. Those lower divisions, we know how much talent is in there, and if it gets more of this exposure like it has lately, the fans will get to see and appreciate how much talent there is. But when I say throwbacks, it's something, the top 10 in those divisions divisions are actually the top 10 fighters in the world, unlike these other divisions where fighters just appear and disappear out of the rankings, or seemingly overnight, or sometimes during the day within hours. In those lower divisions, anything between bantamweight and below, the top 10 fighters are actually the top 10 fighters in the world. And when you're a guy who's a world champion like Yafai, and you're only at the level of a guy like a McJoe Arroyo, that tells you exactly how much talent is inside those divisions. So hopefully next year after Superfly 2, we can start seeing a lot more of those fights. And we have to give Jürgen Brahmer his credit for beating Rob Brandt. We all picked that wrong on Friday. But you know something, Brahmer showed the old man still had 1 or 2 tricks left up his sleeve. And Rob Brandt, I'm kind of, even though he lost, I'm proud of him. He stepped up weight. He stepped up 2 or 3 divisions. He learned a lot. He's going to come back to the United States as a better fighter. And, he's the only U.S. fighter willing to go into that tournament and do what he did. So, something, I think Rob Brandt deserves a definite mention for that.
Yeah, he stepped up 1 division, but like I said, yeah, we were all wrong on that one for sure. But I said that I thought that he fought like a sparring partner. And, I think that's the fine line when you start accepting those checks, sparring with big names, that, that's what you're risking, that he wasn't able to flip that switch, and I thought he could. I thought that he was going to make the best of that opportunity, and in my mind, he should have beaten Brahmer. But maybe Brahmer, like you said, maybe he's better. Maybe he's still got a couple of fights left in him. Maybe I'm taking him wrong. I'm reading him wrong. But
I thought, with a year off, with just a little over a year off, being knocked out for the first time in his last fight against Cleverly, that Brahmer, at 38 years old, it's all caught up to him. But he showed that. Sometimes all you got to do is just be able to box smart. And as for the, I understand what you're saying in the sparring partner mentality. But again, remember, he was overseas in a foreign country. He had never fought in another country in front of a crowd like that before in such a high moment. He had never fought somebody the skill level of Brahmer, so maybe it just all overwhelmed him. It was a little too much, a little too soon. But, I think it's definitely something that's going to make him a better fighter. Now, the big question is, can we have one fight card for the rest of 2017 that goes without 118, 110 scorecard?
I don't know, but it does seem to be the most popular score across the line. But,
they're mandatory.
But Dax, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you to come on later in the week, my man.
All right, everybody, enjoy the day.
Dax, take care.
Dax Khan. You can check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. And little hard on Anthony Joshua today, Sal, but justifiable. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, at the end of the day, he won the fight, and that's the way I look at it. But Dax made some good points, and it is what it is. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. I liked what Dax had to say, and I'm going to say, there is something that I've always felt about Anthony Joshua that I can't put my finger on it. And if you want me to be 100% completely honest, I'm not a big fan of his sharing his emotions with the diary. Maybe 1 or 2, I like that. But, a fighter who's really doesn't need that. I mean, I think it was good for marketing. I think that's probably what his camp wanted to do. I think that's probably what his fans welcomed. But you know what? When you are a fighter, you have a mindset. You don't fixate or, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. No, it's there. You know what you got to do, and just do it. You don't think, I'm taking this on short notice, or they put a fight. Nah, forget about it. We don't want to know about that. We want to know that you're confident, that you're going to go in there, you're going to win, and you're going to do what you have to do. There's something about Anthony Joshua, and I like him. I think he's one of the best out there. But I do feel that, you know what? I told you all along. I'm not going to say that Deontay Wilder is going to be the guy that beats him. But Deontay Wilder is going to give him a better fight than what you may think from the surface on the level. And I also think that Anthony Joshua will be beaten. I just don't know by who just yet. I like him. Believe me. He does it all right. I like him. But there's something about him that I can't put my finger exactly on it, that I feel it's not all that of what we see.
Every fighter that challenges himself, that strives to be the best, that fights outside the box, will eventually get beaten.
True.
You
it's
know,
true. I know
I
that.
like
And
Floyd
you know,
Mayweather, who so far is unbeaten, didn't do that. You know, at least for the last decade, he didn't. You know, earlier in his career, he did. But you know, so Anthony.
But I agreed with Dax on some levels. I thought that the referee was looking out for Joshua.
And referees don't look out for other fighters. Come on, man. I watched Steve Smoger beat the shit out of an opponent that he was going. I watched Steve Smoger kiss a guy, you know, in the ring. I've seen other referees. Come on, man. Let's not even go there. All right.
We're not going to go there.
Listen.
We're not gonna go
Anthony Joshua won every round in that fight against Carlos Takam. I know that they gave him, the unofficial scorer gave him one round, but he won every round in that fight. Did he look fantastic? No, he didn't. No. But I got news for you. Fighting a guy that's 6 inches shorter than you for the first time, he's never fought a guy that short, at least that I can recall, or at least in the last couple of years, was an adjustment. He said in his diary that you and Dax didn't like what I thought was good. Said that, you know, did he bring in 100? At one point he said, do I bring in 100 guys that look like Pulov to train? No, we didn't. We brought in an assortment of guys, which is a smart thing, you know, but I would bet that the majority of those guys were taller than 6'2", and Takam was 6 foot at that. So, you know, the truth of the matter is he won the fight. He won it by stoppage. Whether we think I thought the fight was stopped a little too premature. I also thought that AJ looked ordinary in that fight. But at the end of the day, a win's a win, and he's going to move on. As far as Deontay Wilder, I said that Deontay Wilder, if he got in the ring with the same Anthony Joshua that fought Carlos Takam, that Deontay Wilder would win. And the only reason why I said that isn't because Deontay has displayed any kind of boxing skill, because he hasn't, except for one thing. Punching power. The only time he ever displayed skill was when he fought Berman Stavern the first time. But you could bet dollars to donuts that he's not going to display that skill on Saturday when he fights Stavern the second time, because he's going to go in for the kill. He's going to go in for the kill because that's what he thinks he can do. He thinks he's unbeatable because of his punching power, and that's going to be a mistake against a guy like Joshua. When Joshua's on, his jab works well. He's fast. He didn't look that fast the other night, but he does have hand speed, faster than Deontay Wilder. And I can't wait to see Anthony Joshua land an uppercut on Deontay Wilder. You're going to see that skinny little head end up in the 9th row. All right, so whatever and I'll be willing to bet anybody when and if Deontay Wilder gets in the ring with Anthony Joshua. I'll bet on that fight with anybody. I'll take on all bets. And I agree. I don't think Anthony Joshua is going to retire undefeated. Somebody's going to come along and beat him, but it's not going to be Deontay Wilder. Anyway, we're not taking a break here, as you can see. Our trivia question, which I've gotten a lot of great answers for, is a tough one. So if you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. The question is, who did Jack Dempsey say was the greatest fighter in his weight and height that he ever saw, meaning Jack Dempsey? Who did Jack Dempsey think was the greatest fighter of his weight and height that he ever saw? If you know this answer and you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. You know, this week, Sal, is kind of a slow week leading up to Deontay Wilder, so we are going to try to get shows in all week, but I think that tomorrow we will not be able to do a live show. What's your thoughts on postponing that and trying to get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And what's your quick thoughts that we're now talking about that on air with everybody watching and listening? Maybe we should have done this off air, but I'm thinking tomorrow might be the day. If we have to pick a day this week, I think maybe tomorrow might be that day. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I think what we could do is take tomorrow off, take a break, gather some information, and then I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is a great day to build the momentum, build what we see for the Deontay Wilder fight weekend.
Yep, we got Deontay Wilder coming up this weekend. We'll be breaking down that fight and giving you our thoughts and predictions. Also, don't forget Wednesday, the Blast from the Past is on a really good fighter that was so good and is still recognized today in the city of Philadelphia that they named the awards after him, the Benny Briscoe Award. So Benny Briscoe will be our Blast from the Past on Wednesday. So as Sal just made the executive decision, we will not be doing a live show tomorrow. You could still catch rebroadcasts of our show airing tomorrow, but live show, no go. Tomorrow we'll be back Wednesday, better than ever. On this day, October 30th, in boxing hits, and then again, tomorrow's Halloween, too. Huh.
Oh, wow, I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to dress up like Rocky.
You were going to dress up as Sal Raki Senecola, right?
Absolutely, I might go as Rocky Balboa.
On this day, October 30th, in 1998, Arthur Williams knocks out Emamu Mayfield in the 9th round to win the IBF World Cruiserweight title. Took place in Mississippi, MISSISSIPPI, on this day in 1998. On this day, October 30th, in 1933, Vince Dundee wins a 15-round decision over Lou Brolyard to win the NBA and New York's World Middleweight titles, and that took place in Boston. On this day in 1888, Paddy Duffy knocks out William McMillan, a couple Irish guys, in the 17th round to win the vacant world welterweight title, and that took place in Fort Foote, Virginia, on this day in 1888. On this day in 1986, Joe Manley knocks out Gary Hinton in the 10th round to win the IBF World Junior Welterweight title. That took place in Hartford, Connecticut. On this day in 1993, Orzbek Nazarov wins a 12-round decision over Dingan Thioba to win the WBA World Lightweight title. That took place in South Africa. And on this day, October 30th, in 1974, Muhammad Ali knocks out Big George Foreman in the 8th round to win the World Heavyweight title, and that took place in Zaire. What a famous day in boxing history today is October 30th, 1974, Sal. This was the fight that Big George Foreman went down like Soda Popitsky did in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which incidentally is 30 years old. Did you hear that the other day? 30 years old for that game. Man, does time fly.
Unbelievable. And I remember seeing that Ali Foreman fight with my father and a good friend who was a boxing guru, Phil Corletta. We went to the Fox movie theater in Hackensack, New Jersey, to see it on the what would be called pay-per-view now, but it was an event at the movie theater. And man, I was crying almost just seeing Ali taking a punishment until he came out in that 8th round, and then a whirlwind, an 8-10 round, a combination just put Big George Foreman down.
So listen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, make sure you tune in Wednesday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.